start a session, mate. I'll call you back. Bye. Good afternoon, everyone. No claps. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, great. Apologies. Okay, welcome, Jay. Okay, great. We have everyone here now. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed your lunch. Recharge yourself with your coffees. If you feel sleepy. We're about to start session 2 of the digital transformation AI Summit. It'll be on enterprise, B2E. B2E stands for business to employee and consumer AI, looking at the technologies and commercial strategies that enable it. And so for this session, the overseeing moderator will be Nikolai Doberstein, who is a partner for the CMT division. Is it CMT division? Yeah, CMT division of Kearney. And so with that, I'll hand over the reins to Nikolai. Great.
Okay, I can send you. I don't have to present anything. So no, it's a great pleasure to moderate this session. We have, I think, an exciting lineup of speakers as well as I can use the mic. Can you hear me? Is that better? Okay, good. So the objective of this session is really to understand better what the transformative potential of AI is, and across 3 dimensions, really about how can you use AI for organizational efficiency, how can you use it for employee productivity, how can you use it for consumer growth. And what we really want to get out here is how do you drive impact with AI? So how do you really embed this in the organization and scale it up? So let me not take too much time. I think let's go directly to the first speaker. The first speaker is Hyunjol Jo. I'm not sure whether I pronounce it properly. He's the head of data sciences lab at LGU+. And he's actually developing a company-wide AI engine to drive the AI transformation at LGU+. But I don't see Joe. Okay, good. Yes, good. Joe, over to you.
Hello. 저는 한국말로 하도록 하겠습니다. 마이크 이어폰 잘 부탁드리고요. 안녕하세요. 저는 LG 플러스에서 왔습니다. 제가 오늘 말씀드릴 내용은 AX라고 해서 AI 트랜스포메이션. Appreciate it. 네, 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 저는 LG 플러스에서 AX라고 해서 AI 기반의 트랜스포메이션 하는 영역들을 좀 소개해드리고자 합니다. 크게 5가지 컨텐츠로 준비를 해봤는데 저희가 주어진 시간이 10분밖에 없어서 요점만 좀 간략하게 진행하는 방식으로 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 첫 번째, LG U+라는 텔레커뮤니케이션 회사는 어떤 일을 하고 있는지, 그리고 24년도에 저희가 키 AI 이니셔티브로 보고 있는 건 어떤 것들이 있고, 또 저희가 24년도에 집중하고자 하는 AI 테크 에셋들은 어떤 것들이 있는지, 그다음에 이런 것들의 기반으로 저희는 어떤 서비스들을 개발해 나가고 있는지, 그리고 마지막에 저희가 자사가 가지고 있다고 생각하는 스트렝스에 대한 말씀을 드리고자 합니다. 저는 석사 때는 음성인식을 전공을 했습니다. 그리고 나서 대구에 있는 과학기술원에서 한 5년 동안 리서처리 연구를 했고요. 그리고 미국으로 건너가서 딥러닝 관련된 연구를 좀 했습니다. 그리고 실제 지금 제가 몸담고 있는 U+에는 2018년도에 입사를 해서 지금은 데이터 사이언스 랩을 이끌고 있습니다. 먼저 광고를 하나 보시도록 하겠습니다.
우리는 통신회사였다. 스스로 한계 짓지 않고 일상을 바꿔나갔다. 그렇게 어느덧 3천만. 이제 더 큰 시작을 하자. 모두가 성장하는 더 큰 일상. 전에 없던 디지털 세상을 열자. Growth Leading AX Company, LG U+.
네, 이 영역까지 트랜슬레이트 됐는지는 잘 모르겠습니다. 어떻게 보셨는지 모르겠습니다만 저희가 케이블 TV에서 실제 저희 회사의 홍보 영상이라고 보시면 되고요. 미루어 짐작해 보셨겠지만 저희가 가지고 있는 내부 SLRM 비전 모델을 가지고 저희가 만든 영상입니다. 보시다시피 저희 회사는 디지털 이노베이션 컴퍼니로 지향을 하고 있습니다. 그 기저에는 AI 기반으로 커스터머 익스피리언스를 이노베이션 하겠다는 트랜스포메이션이 기저에 깔려 있다고 보시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 실질적으로 저희 회사는 뭐 기본적으로 텔레커뮤니케이션이 다 마찬가지지만 가운데 네트워크 인프라가 있고 이걸 기반으로 한 축으로 모바일, 텔레커뮤니케이션 그리고 다른 한 축으로는 미디어 그다음에 또 다른 한 축으로는 B2B 솔루션을 전부 서포트하는 영역들을 맡고 있고요. 이런 모든 영역들은 저희가 IXI라고 하는 IXI라는 AI 브랜드 네임이 있습니다. 이런 모든 내용들은 U+ AI 기술 기반인 IXI 서비스로 저희가 제공을 하고 있습니다. 그거의 핵심에는 커스터머 센트릭 CX, 디지털 캐퍼빌러티 DX 그리고 마지막으로 플랫폼 이 세 가지가 가장 큰 축이라고 보시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 간단합니다. CX는 아까 말씀드렸지만 커스터머 센트릭 저희가 집중하고자 하는 뭐 모바일과 IPTV, 케이블 TV 이런 모든 영역의 CX 관점에서 많은 노력들을 기울이고 있고요. 두 번째 세컨은 DX 저희가 내부 임직원 일하는 방식을 혁신을 이끌고 있습니다. 많은 워크 에이전트, 인플로이 에이전트들을 통해서 실제 일하는 방식의 변화를 좀 이끌고 있고요. 마지막으로는 저희가 B2B와 B2C 기존에 가지고 있던 시장 포트폴리오를 넘어서서 새로운 뉴 비즈니스를 위한 플랫폼 회사로 거듭나기 위한 노력들을 많이 하고 있습니다. 다음에는 저희가 가지고 있는 AI 에셋 한 3가지 정도를 좀 짧게 설명을 드리고자 합니다. 맨 밑에서부터 보시면 저희의 모든 고객 데이터는 데이터 레이크라고 하는 저 3번 영역에 해당하는 데이터 옵스 영역으로 전부 데이터가 들어오게 됩니다. 그리고 나서 그 위에 2번이라고 하는 MLOps 플랫폼이라고 있는데 DevOps 플랫폼은 많이 들어보셨을 것 같습니다. 이 DevOps 플랫폼 위에서 우리가 많은 AI 모델들을 실제 개발을 하고 있는데 이런 것들이 잘 모니터링되고 핸들링 될 수 있는 MLOps 플랫폼을 가지고 있습니다. 그리고 그 위에 이제 익시 솔루션이라고 하는 저희가 어질리티를 강조하기 위한 개발 플랫폼을 가지고 있는데요. 크게 이 4가지로 구성이 되어 있습니다. 일단 뭐 쉽게 단어가 언급될 수 있는 것처럼 벌써 보여드리는 분들은 레그 엔진이 있고 그다음에 아무래도 SLRM 모델의 베이스 모델의 어떤 서비스를 개발하기 위한 내용이다 보니 세이프티 레이어가 한 축으로 잘 되어 있고요. 익시 스튜디오라고 하는 거는 저희가 이 솔루션을 통해서 빠르게 SLRM 기반의 서비스를 개발할 수 있는 LLM 기반의 서비스를 개발할 수 있도록 지원해주는 스튜디오를 저희가 만들고 있습니다. 그리고 저 상위 꼭지점에 있는 익시젠이라고 하는 것은 저희는 LG AI 연구원에서 가지고 있는 엑사원이라는 파운데이션 모델을 기반으로 저희 자사 데이터로 학습시킨 스몰 SLLM이라는 익시젠이라는 SLLM이 있습니다. 물론 뒤에 말씀드리겠지만 저희 회사는 오픈 이노베이션을 지향하고 있기 때문에 익시젠뿐만 아니라 뭐 GPT라든지 제미나이 계열 많은 계열들을 가지고 저희가 테스트해보고 이밸류에이션하는 영역들을 준비를 하고 있습니다. 여기까지가 이렇게 솔루션에 대한 내용이었고 두 번째는 아까 말씀드렸던 이제 MLOps에 대한 영역입니다. 이 영역도 역시 어질리티를 위해서 저희가 굉장히 중요하게 보고 있는 내용들이 있고 내부에는 굉장히 많은 소프트웨어 개발자와 굉장히 많은 AI 모델러들이 있습니다. 그리고 그 모델러들이 캐패시티를 넘는 많은 또 고객분들의 요청들이 있는데 실제적으로 저희가 AI 모델을 만들었을 때 걔를 커머셜라이징 할 수 있는 빠르게 할 수 있는 이런 매니징 할 수 있는 여러 가지 풀들을 MLOps 그다음에 서비스옵스 같은 영역으로 저희가 지원을 해드리고 있습니다. 마지막엔 데이터 옵스에 대한 내용인데 아까 말씀드렸다시피 저희의 모든 고객 데이터는 데이터 레이크로 들어오게 됩니다. 근데 단순하게 데이터를 잘 적재하고 구축하는 영역을 넘어서서 내부에는 많은 인플로이들이 있는데 이런 인플로이 분들로 하여금 데이터를 쉽게 사용하고 또 개발할 수 있고 또 운영할 수 있고 일부에 따라서는 다양한 분석 모델을 빠르게 디플로이 할 수 있는 영역들에 대한 지원들을 많이 하고 있습니다. 그런 영역들로 실제 모였던 데이터를 기반으로 비주얼라이전 하는 영역 그 다음에 커스터머 360이라고 해서 고객 한 분을 360도 방향으로 봐서 어떤 성향에 관심이 있으신지 같은 부분들을 면밀하게 제공해주는 영역들을 하고 있습니다. 다음 사실 어펜딕스인데 제가 예시를 넣어봤습니다. U+에서 데이터를 많이 가지고 있다고 하는데 어떻게 영역들을 활용하고 있는지. 실제 보시면 제가 아까 말씀드렸다시피 큰 축으로 모바일이 있고 케이블 TV가 있습니다. 그 모바일과 케이블 TV에 먼슬리로 쌓이는 영역들을 한번 보니 저희 고객분들이 남기신 데이터들이 저희 데이터 레이크에는 수십 페타바이트가 있고요. 먼슬리로 봐도 수십 기가바이트, 테라바이트가 들어올 정도로 많은 방대한 데이터가 있다고 보시면 됩니다. 저는 사실은 U+에서 데이터 사이언스 랩을 맡고 있습니다. 실제 개발자들을 많이 데리고 있는데 저희가 저희 개발자분들에게 어떻게 표현을 하냐면 데이터는 저희 고객분들이 남기신 소중한 흔적이다. 이런 데이터들로 하여금 저희가 많은 AI 모델을 만들 수 있고 이걸 인해서 또 수많은 어떤 개선 작업이라든지 고객 가치 개선을 위한 많은 노력들을 하고 있는데 분명히 저희에게는 가장 큰 자산이 되고 또 원동력이 되는 부분이라고 생각이 듭니다. 실질적으로 이와 같은 AI SS를 기반으로 저희는 AI 에이전트 서비스를 만들고 있습니다. 저희가 아까 말씀드렸던 모바일 기반의 모바일 에이전트 서비스, 그 다음에 저희가 말씀드렸던 케이블 TV 기반의 미디어 에이전트. 사실 미디어 같은 경우는 멀티 OTT뿐만 아니라 여러 가지 미디어 영역을 봤을 때 미디어의 가장 큰 그 중요한 본질은 감상입니다. 근데 이런 미디어 본연의 속성인 감상을 좀 집중하시기 위해서 검색이라든지 추천 이런 영역들을 AI 기반으로 빠르게 제공해 드릴 수 있는 영역들을 저희가 제공을 하고 있습니다. 그리고 저희는 많은 커스터머 서비스를 지원해 주는 고객분 센터가 있는데 그런 부분들을 용이하게 지원하기 위한 최대 에이전트 관련된 내용들이 있고요. 그다음에 아까 살짝 말씀드린 워크 에이전트라고 해서 저희 내부에 일하는 방식을 좀 변화하는 영역들을 많이 하고 있습니다. SLLM 혹은 LLM이 들어오면서 많은 영역들을 저희가 시도를 해보고 있는데 워크 에이전트에서 좀 진도를 빠르게 좀 나가고 있습니다. 그래서 실제적으로 예를 들면 U+에는 다양한 마케터들이 있는데 마케터들이 위에서 어떤 마케터 문구의 드래프트를 작성해주는 AI 카피라이터라든지 아니면 저희 네트워크를 수리해 주시는 기사분들이 계신데 그분들이 출동을 해서 어떤 정확한 문제를 판단하고 진단할 수 있도록 네트워크 워크 에이전트 같은 부분도 저희가 개발해서 현장에서 사용하고 있는 좋은 예시라고 보면 좋을 것 같습니다. 마지막입니다. 실제 제가 말씀드리고 싶은 U+의 스트렝스는 아까 데이터는 충분히 말씀드린 것 같고요. 사실 데이터는 양뿐만 아니라 질도 상당히 중요합니다. 저희는 기본적으로 이제 스트럭처드 데이터라고 얘기를 하는데 그런 정형 데이터 이외에 언스트럭처드 데이터, 비정형 데이터도 좀 수집을 하면서 고객의 패턴과 흔적을 파악해보자 노력을 하고 있고요. LLM이 들어오면서 제일 중요한 영역, 여긴 말할 정도로 없이 모든 회사들이 다 중요하게 보고 있을 것 같은데 저희가 AI 데이터 거버넌스 조직을 만들어서 Responsible Safety AI에 대한 노력을 굉장히 많이 기울이고 있습니다. 그리고 이런 모든 것들은 이제 유수한 또 능력을 가지신 분들, 또 팀워크를 가져서 하고 있고요. 또 오른쪽 사이드에서 보시면 이런 모든 일들을 저희 혼자 하는 것이 아니라 많은 컬래버레이트 시스템 하는 컴퍼니들이 있습니다. 기본적으로 LG AI 연구원이라고 그룹 내에 있는 파운데이션 모델을 만드는 엑사원을 만드는 AI 연구원이 있고요. 그 다음에 각각 다양하게 국내외 저희가 빠른 개발을 위해서 저희를 도와주시는 많은 개발사분들이 같이 계십니다. 다소 어려운 개념이실 수 있는데 저희가 지금 사실은 제가 지금 yes, it's a final slide. 이제 이 마지막 슬라이드입니다. 제가 지금 말씀드렸던 것의 모든 풀 스택이고요. 밑에 데이터 레이크로 시작하는 데이터 오프스, 그다음 그 위에 올라가는 ML 오프스, 거기에 많은 다양한 AI 엔진, 이 AI 엔진들은 내부에서 개발한 것도 있고 또 필요하다면 외부에서 가져올 수 있는 AI 엔진들도 있고요. 그걸 통한 위에 비즈니스 기반의 프로덕트들을 많이 가지고 있습니다. 그래서 이런 부분들에 대해서 오늘 소개를 해드리고자 합니다. 니콜라이, 파이널 슬라이드. 감사합니다. Thank you.
I hate to be the bad guy, but it has to be done. Very interesting because it's really a company-wide transformation, and I think Joe is coming back to the panel later. Our next speaker is Alex Blagirev. Alex is the Strategic Initiatives Officer at SingulariNet. Very interesting, SingulariNet, and we will hear more about it, aims to build a decentralized and democratized artificial intelligence that is open to everyone. And Alex is driving this, so I'm really looking forward to this presentation. Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you so much for inviting. First of all, my first time in Seoul, very nice city, very nice people, and I like this kind of Korean culture. Visiting today a sauna here, was quite surprised of the local procedures. Thank you for coming, and I will be very quick. I have 10 minutes for making this stage performance. Okay. Next slide doesn't work. Okay, it does. It's okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Some facts about us. First of all, SingularityNet is a foundation company which is based in Switzerland. We're designing the open source infrastructure to make AGI possible. It was founded by Ben Goertzel. So if you type the AGI in Wikipedia, it's referring to Ben Goertzel. He is the gentleman who invented this together with Ray Kurzweil in their books a lot, and they write a lot of the scientific papers. And one of the showcase study they made, it's a Sophia robot. So if you see Sophia robot, she is quite nice, talking, and you can interact. SingularityNet, it's a part of the ASI consortium. ASI, it's the biggest, as of today, open source alliance that do together the efforts designing the different AI infrastructure, starting from AI agents, AI marketplace, AI DSL, knowledge graph, AI reasoning, and so on and so on. I can actually continue endless our explanation. So ASI, it's several companies, and we keep merging new members, like Kudos recently. The founding members are Fetch, Singularity, and Ocean. Each is actually very distinct in terms of the products, specific, but all common for them. It's open source infrastructure that creates very critical components and elements for AGI. Again, AGI, it's artificial general intelligence. It's not large language models, which sometimes mixed and confused in the recent years a lot. So several facts that we actually do today. It's first of all knowledge graphs. We designed a comprehensive approach for knowledge graphs and also our own query language, allowing you to do query of the so-called knowledge assets from these knowledge graphs. Knowledge graph, it's a very, if I do a simple definition, it's kind of the extension of the database. In the vector form, you keep the data, and it's one of the efficient way to interact with data through the AI elements. So for AI, knowledge graphs represent a long-term memory. Long-term memory allows to heal a very common problem of hallucination and build the traceability of the facts. So without knowledge graphs, it's actually very hard to connect knowledge bases for AI agents. So then AI agents itself, it's a self-programming bots, which is we're publishing on the AI marketplace. They can be very simple, they can be very complex, but in general, this is the form of interaction as a B2B, B2C, and we're exploring this open source opportunity for allowing people to create their own AI agents. And we see that in the near future, people and consumers will be able to adjust and create their own AI agents for themselves, and that will support and guide through their lifespan. Then the last one is very important, semantic search. Semantic search is something which is like, I think, one of the golden goose of the future. It starts with AI reasoning. AI reasoning, it's ability of the AI engines to do semantic reasoning of this chain of thoughts around complex things. For example, I want to do reasoning of any proposal around a huge number of the documents, say constitution, for example. I want to do reasoning of the new legislation around the country constitution, whether it's contradict or not contradict existing constitution. All of this can be happening with reasoning, and on the basis of this reasoning we use RAG, and that's why actually we keep exploring the efficiency of our RAG with other RAGs published by other companies, and I would love to explore if we can do collaboration with LG also, of the previous speaker on this topic. So one of the angle we decided to also to go further is to build our own data center, and we already invest $50 million in buying the hardware from AMD, NVIDIA, and ASUS, and designing this container-based data center, allowing us to train our own models and not be dependent on the big tech players. We had several big also partnerships, and we keep exploring in showcases, and one of them is a smart city agenda. We do a collaboration with Action Logement recently. It's a big player of the French real estate market. they designing the smart houses on the French overseas territory, which is located on the Mayotte Island. It's 200 houses, and we're helping them to build the simulation engine of the meeting these houses of the consumption protocol, which is in line with sustainability agenda. Sustainability is like efficient, effective consumption of the energy, carbon footprint, and other important things like temperature, noise, humidity, and so on. So all things we can simulate if like we put one house and another house and then like see if the village itself will be able to sustain and maintain the protocol itself on an appropriate level of standard. So this is kind of a sandbox. Altogether, Singularity, it's a huge ecosystem. We have a 5 global narrative we're trying to follow. The first one is longevity. It's very important for us. We use RAG to decode DNA things and so on. So if you are interested to talk about longevity, I'll actually like to talk about more. The second big area is the PIN. The PIN is quite popular topic in Web3, and it's very good in terms of the neutrality to enter into the corporate segment. The PIN is an acronym of the Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. It's the way the community can participate and run their own nodes and do the revenue share with large corporates. The next one is RWA. That's a big promising opportunity for the market itself. It's the tokenizing of the different type of the assets, real estate, securities. For example, we can do tokenization of the treasury bills with BlackRock. That is one of our products with Cogito Finance. So any particular investors who cannot buy for some reason of the compliance treasury bills on the Nasdaq stock exchange, they can buy tokenized T-bills, which is almost the same, and they can receive the payments based on the digital rights. And this is allow us to enter the new market. Say, for example, Indonesia, they have a low interest rates on deposits, and instead of the placing your money on deposits, you can buy the tokenized treasury bills. This is like life hack, and get the higher interest yields. The next 2 topics is robots. We do invest a lot in the robots, so we're planning to actually to design the factory itself here in South Korea, with a team here, and we're also building the several robots for hospitality and nurturing, which is like different segments. But if you like to explore mutual collaboration about building the robots, integrating robots in day-to-day activities with consumers, we're happy to talk about that. We have a lot of experience in there. And then the last topic is entertainment and mediaverse, which we designed with our team. It's kind of the social reputation engine, which we're happy to explore together. This is our partners. We keep working with them. It's all representing on different industries, different angles, and I'm here to talk more and get some new bridge connections, so I'm really open. Please come and meet me here. I'm in a red jacket. Yeah, fighting with the gray. Thank you so much, and if you have any contacts, questions, there is several appendixes here, like you can get this presentation after my pitch, and there is something like very important here. And that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Very interesting. Now up next speaker is Jay Nagarajan. Jay is the head of telecoms for Asia Pacific for AWS. AWS obviously doesn't need any introduction. And Jay will give us an overview of AI in telecoms and what you and your team sees telecom companies are doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nikolai, and good afternoon, everybody. As Nikolai kindly introduced me, my name is Jayant Nagarajan. You're welcome to call me Jay. I have the privilege of leading our telecom industry initiatives for Amazon Web Services across the Asia Pacific, and I sit on the leadership team worldwide. I think in the time that we have together, 10 minutes isn't very long, and the innovation in this space is astounding. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to share with you a number of use cases that we see from around Asia and certainly from around the world. And I'm just going to use it to seed some thoughts for you, for the panelists, as well as for the broader community. And really, I'm going to have some QR codes out there so that you can do some additional research if you'd like after the session as well, so keep your phones ready. I think it's useful to kind of step back and think about AI and why it's front and center for all of us at the moment. I think while the first papers on AI were written in the 1950s, what's really happened is this huge proliferation of data that you see, as well as the availability of scalable compute capacity through the cloud, as well as the innovation in algorithms over the last few years, really has brought us to this stage in terms of what we're seeing. And it's really led us to a very exciting inflection point where the nature of the use cases is just incredibly astounding, right? And if you add further to that, all of this is classic machine learning and AI. In the last 18 to 22 months, we've seen a whole lot of additional use cases come through as a result of generative AI. Estimates vary quite wildly, but if you look at this, Goldman Sachs estimates that in just 10 years, 7 trillion is going to be the GDP impact and about 1.5% lift in productivity. So what are we covering today? The theme that all of you came to listen to really is this. On the left side, you see what most of us are familiar with, chatbots and assistants. But I think we've gotten way past that these days. And these are just some examples. We'll talk more about them. I'm just kind of setting the scene for what we're going to do. Employee productivity, I'm glad that the organizers included that because it doesn't get talked about very often because everybody talks about the front-end stuff. And on the right side of the image, you see enterprise AI, which really is what is driving valuations across the board and what most boards and CEOs are looking at from the perspective of valuations. So let's talk about the consumer side of the house, right? Contact centers are probably the lowest hanging fruit that we see when it comes to the use of AI on an ongoing basis for consumer use cases. And you see some examples here. What we've seen with Amazon Connect as well as Contact Center Intelligence, or CCI, really is a few of these use cases right here. And I'll kind of distill them for you. Self-service, most of us have been on an IVR with our favorite origin operator or with our bank or whatever you have it. And the experience has been suboptimal. The reality of it is, with AI these days, the predictability, the ability to do self-service, as well as being able to direct people to the right operator, has become a hell of a lot better, right? So that's one thing that we're seeing. Agent Assist is probably the holy grail of the entire space because we're seeing the ability to use real-time transcription, and we've seen some fascinating demos these days. Natural language processing and translation really helps the operators themselves get better, but at the same time, it helps the management as well as the leadership team guide them, coach them, as well as enhance the overall experience for customers. And similarly, post-call analytics is particularly important for sentiment analysis, as well as general coaching and enhancement of the overall experience. Spare a thought for most of us, those of us who are looking into creating apps ourselves. This is a great QR code because you can use our Amazon Bedrock to build simple applications using the Party Rock to create applications that are just limited by your imagination. I love trying this out because you can create apps literally by kind of typing in a prompt, and it's super cool to do. So the rest of us aren't left behind. Now remember what I said earlier about machine learning not necessarily being new, and it's been around for a long time. We've been using this at Amazon for over 20 years at the moment. And these are just some examples, and many of you are likely to be familiar with. And all of these are consumer use cases, right? Whether it's Alexa's natural language responses, whether it is personalization and assistance that all of us use when we're shopping for stuff on Amazon.com, to the in-store shopping experiences where I can literally wave my hand and kind of go through the turnstile or just walk out, as we call the technology. To support for the sellers and advertisers in creating new images and selling better. The level of sophistication that is available for consumers is at an all-time high at the moment. And these are actual tangible use cases that all of us can use behind us. Let's turn to employee AI. Here are some typical scenarios, right? Employee experience, employee onboarding is one of the most common use cases that we see these days. The QR code on the right side goes to a company called Deriv, which is an online financial trading institution. Great example. They used the Amazon Q for Business, and they had a 45% less onboarding time for all of their employees, right? Because they connected customer support, marketing, as well as the recruiting departments to dramatically increase the productivity. We look at RFX responses and sales calls prep. You know, hands up for those of you who've opened up ChatGPT before an important business meeting and said, what do I talk about, right? This stuff is getting better because when you connect it to your Salesforce.com or your enterprise CRM instances, the nature of stuff that you can do and the nature of contextual information that you get is actually really relevant at this point in time. So we've got some really exciting stuff that we're kind of using in-house, which hopefully we'll release soon to the public. But this stuff is really useful. And especially for productivity, we're looking at RFX responses because we all love putting together 400-page documents for operator RFPs, right? So anything that can optimize that, I think is good. Customer support, I've already covered, so I'm not going to go there. But I think this one is, whoops, pardon me again. This one is particularly useful. Field technician support and manuals ingestion. Many of the telcos have been sharing that they've taken manuals from all of their various network infrastructure elements, put it into the AI repository that they have, and it's made things a whole lot easier for their field technicians to go and run routines, methods of procedures, and update their SOPs as well, right? So really interesting stuff that is happening that is tangible. Let's look at developers, because we love supporting developers. We're seeing everybody from students to CEOs lean in, right? But we've noticed in studies that we ran that for participants who used Amazon Q Developer, the folks that used Q Developer were 27% more likely to complete the tasks they were given without any prior context. And the ones who used Q Developer were 57% faster than those who didn't have it, right? And these are publicly available studies that you can go research. Real life example of this, BT in the UK used Amazon Q Developer, and they had 15 to 20 code suggestions per developer per day. Just in the first 4 months of kind of rolling out a short POC in the organization, they accepted 100,000 lines of code. By the way, 2 months later, that is now 250,000 lines of code. And this is incredible. If you think about it, developers and anything that helps to accelerate their productivity is absolutely incredible. So I think this has a lot of potential to really change things from the perspective of enhancing developer productivity. We're really excited about this. Last but certainly not least, enterprise AI. I'm just going to focus on one use case out here, which is telco networks, because I think that's key to everybody out here and also in the interest of time. I think network and service operations, if you think about it and the way it's laid out in this image, it involves really a continuous cycle of design, deployment, observability, diagnosis, actuation, healing, and optimization, right? What we've seen, really, from the conversations that we've had with telcos, the POCs that we're running, the cases that have gone into production, really is, these are the use cases that are gaining traction. Whoops, pardon me. That, the one at the top, where we're using the GenAI assistance for network operations with ML predictions, anomaly detection, KPI forecasting, these are the most asked use cases across the board, right? We're seeing network topology, discovery, and management, as well as, going back to what I said earlier, the manuals ingestion, as well as putting together the configurations out into the field as a very popular theme as well. Graph neural networks and GenAI for root cause analysis. I'll give you one example from Cox Communications on the next slide. But network config generation, this is really interesting. I mean, I was at another conference 2 weeks ago in Singapore where an operator mentioned that they had put together network configurations that were now being put into the field automatically by their AI-generated tools. And this was based on ingestion of all the manuals that they had. So some super interesting use cases for telco networks, and especially with a single pane of glass. You're welcome to take a look at this at the QR code, but this is basically one where Cox Communications, which is a fixed line operator, used GenAI to support their customers. And it was an assistant that used a variety of data sources, troubleshooting guidelines, customer interaction records, network telemetry data, and so on. And it was able to assist them dramatically with troubleshooting, as well as issue resolution. So, solid example of networks. More information, there's a YouTube link at that QR code. So I'm just going to sum this up. We've looked at the trends. The potential is obviously huge. You saw a whole lot of real world examples, and the timing's right. So I think to Nikolai's point earlier, you want to, how do you kind of make sure that you can actually land these in your organizations? So I'm just going to try and summarize it in this one slide, right? Data is your strategic asset. This doesn't need to be said, but it has to be said. The number of silos that you have in your organizations, whether you're a large or a small one, need to be solved. Data fidelity, the appropriate platforms, the governance between the producers and the consumers of data is absolutely critical. Next, algorithms. Everybody uses the foundation models. We all know how to amplify them with RAG and data integration. Don't forget responsible AI. Governance, explainability, transparency. This is absolutely critical for, it doesn't matter whether you're doing consumer, enterprise, or employee. And you have to do this. I mean, let's just face it, AI is expensive, right? We all know the amounts that need to be invested. The gentleman before just told me that it was $53 million of infrastructure, right? And people are spending billions of dollars on this stuff. Scalable, secure, as well as sustainable, right? Where is what we need to do, and we think the cloud has a role to play in that. Allows you to reduce the cost, accelerate the transformation. It allows you to increase your performance, and at the end of the day, better consumer experience. I started by saying we've barely scratched the surface. So we have given the amount of innovation that is out there, we wanted to create a website that allows you to explore the art of the possible. So we've got a dedicated site that's called the AI Explorer, right? It's an easy to use search. The QR code is there. It helps you find use cases depending on your industry, your business function, or the desired business outcome. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I hope there's been some food for thought for the panel and the audience, and I'll say thank you and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Jay, for a very nice overview of the art of possible, and I also like some of the success factors, and we will come back to the success factors in our panel discussion. Now, finally, we have George Lee, the co-founder and CEO of Swit. Swit is an AI-powered enterprise workspace and platform that enables team collaboration and task management at a global level. So quite excited to hear about it. Josh, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today, thank you. Today, many companies are asking an important question: how will digital transformation and AI experience evolve? Will AI replace SaaS in overall digital tools in all categories, or will they be integrated at some point, right? Right now, AI is mainly powering personal chatbots and limited application through plugins like Microsoft 365. So it's still far from replacing SaaS entirely, but AI pioneers are already pushing beyond these early use cases. At Swit, we are driving this evolution forward by automating complex workflows. And Super Workspace, where AI agents work hard and humans finally work smart, is an answer to how digital and AI transformation will intersect in the enterprise world. Recently, OpenAI's roadmap for AGI was leaked, revealing 5 distinct stages. And we are still in the first stage, focused on chatbots. The next stage enhances LLM's reasoning capabilities, followed by the creation of agents capable of taking human-like actions. The fourth stage sees AI in assisting in inventions, and the final stage envision superhuman capability, capable of managing entire organizations, what they define as AGI. Interestingly, the core problem OpenAI aims to solve is what we are already familiar with, right? Organizational productivity. First, disconnected systems, diverse departmental needs, silos, and complex workflows across teams are perfect opportunities for AI to thrive. As AI progresses, significant strides have been made so far throughout the tech stack, from hardware infrastructure like AWS and to software platforms. These advancements are setting the stage for agent-based software solutions, AI package solutions that target specific customer needs, driving us toward the last mile in the AI revolution. I call it AI rush. At Swit, we've been hard at work transforming our platform. What was once designed solely for human users is now a shared workspace for both human users and AI agents. This isn't just about adding AI as a feature. It's about creating an environment from the ground up where humans and AI collaborate seamlessly, leveraging each other's strengths for maximum productivity, for a synergistic interplay. Now, let's talk about what an LLM-based agent really is. It's an autonomous software program capable of understanding environmental factors, such as data input, context, and even external conditions through third-party apps. With dynamic grounding for those data, these agents adapt to real-time changes, continually learning from past experiences from learnable memory, and generating human-like multi-actor responses. In this analogy, the LLM functions as the brain of the agent. Just think of it like a car. The LLM is the engine, but an engine alone won't take you anywhere. It's the entire car system that delivers value. In the same way, to fully leverage an LLM, you need a complete system where all parts work harmoniously together. In more complex enterprise environments where departments and different workflows are deeply interconnected, a multi-agent system, MAS, becomes essential for delivering a powerful AI experience for your organization. Each agent in this system specializes in a specific domain, whether it's a memory, skills, or something else, and they work together to achieve broader goals. These agents don't operate in isolated silos. They collaborate, they compete, and they scale as needed. The beauty of this system is its resilience. If one agent fails, other agents compensate, ensuring stability. However, we recognize that AI literacy is still very low in many organizations, even in big techs, which makes multi-agent system very impossibly hard for most employees to use. That's why we developed MySnap, a single agent interface that simplifies the overall user experience. MySnap acts as a personalized AI agent, working in the background to manage multiple agents as a supervisor and gather information from them and deliver personalized responses for individual users, like summarize the emails that I have not read yet but require my immediate attention. Or show me the email list that I got from gsma.com over the 2 weeks. Or please check the availability for Danny for 3 p.m. afternoon tomorrow. If he's available, please send us calendar invite. We can do that. This is not about the future roadmap. We can do it now. This is how Suite bridges the gap between single agent and multi-agent systems, creating a hybrid environment where agents work efficiently and humans work smarter, all in one place. At the core of this innovation is our super workspace. Suite is the foundation representing the digital transformation ecosystem comprising 8 different apps you can configure like Lego blocks. Snap is the AI assistant. And in the middle part, our unique multi-agent system named Superwork connects Suite's functionality with digital and with Snap's agent skills, fully integrating digital and AI in one place. Imagine different types of cars, each representing an agent. And some cars carry a single person, while others can accommodate multiple passengers. Each vehicle, of course, designed with unique different functionalities. All these cars are autonomous by default, working in harmony, guided by traffic signals. This is how Super Workspace operates, designed specifically for enterprises that require more interoperability, more functionality, and more scalability to remove any operational bottlenecks for your entire employees. Now picture this, every tool you use in your organization is available in a single window, all controlled effortlessly through natural language function calling commands. No more switching between tabs, no more disconnected systems, just seamless AI-driven collaboration, and even personalized workflows, all within a unified workspace, the super workspace. This chart shows where your company might stand in the evolution of AI experience. While stages 1 to 4 are foundational technologies for developers and data scientists, stages 5 to 8 are built around agent system for everyday users and citizen developers. Suite is one of the very few companies that offers solutions across all these stages. We optimize the early stages through strategic partnerships with Microsoft and something else, but we own the core technologies for stage 5 to 8. So, if you're ready to bring the full power of AI agents to your organization quickly, easily, and more efficiently, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Very interesting to learn about the super workspace and the possibilities. Now let's move to the panel. I think we have Joe joining us from the keynote section, and he's joined by 3 additional panelists. We have Chris Kim, who leads cloud network and core network services at Nokia in Korea. We have Thomas Sennhauser, who's the CTO and business lead for Asia Pacific at Intel. And we have Doug Makashima, president of EcoBlocks. And EcoBlocks, maybe as a context, aims to power the future of supercomputing through modular full-stack data centers. So very nice mix of AI users and AI providers. What we have 3 to 4 set of questions to our panelists about how to prioritize AI development, how to truly create impact through AI, how to manage some of the associated risk, and how to collaborate between AI users and providers. So let's start with the first question, which is really about determining priorities. And we heard this already in the keynote speeches. What should be the priorities for telcos between enterprise AI for organization efficiency, AI for employee productivity, and consumer AI for growth? Jay showed us a big range of possibilities. So, but how should we decide on priorities and how to align the organization around these? Maybe let's start with Joe, and then we go with Chris.
일단 되게 좋은 질문인 것 같습니다. 일단, sorry. 되게 좋은 질문인 것 같고요. 저는 이제 1플러스에서 이제 개발자로 있는데 굉장히 어려운 질문입니다. 왜냐하면 저희는 개발 리소스가 굉장히 한정되어 있는데 실제적으로 많은 부서들이 본인들이 개발하고 싶은 내용들을 많이 니즈를 좀 요청을 하고 있는 상황입니다. 그럼 그런 것들을 이제 과제가 주어졌을 때 프로젝트를 어떤 단위로 우리가 테스트를 해볼 것이냐, 일단 여러 가지가 있을 것 같아요. 일단 비즈니스 임팩트 관점에서 봤을 때는 뭐 고객 가치를 얼마나 개선할 수 있는 과제인지, 또 하나는 프로핏이 얼마나 날 수 있는 과제인지 그 관점에서 보지만 개발 사이드에서 봤을 때는 이게 개발 쪽으로 구현 가능한 부분인지를 좀 보여야 될 것 같습니다. 그런 여러 가지를 우리가 보고 있는데 상당히 어려운 부분입니다. 다만 지금 말씀하신 영역들을 다른 사이드에서 한번 보면 크게 B2E, 우리 내부 인플로이를 위한 과제, 혹은 B2C, 커스터머를 위한 과제, 그리고 B2B, 엔터프라이즈를 위한 과제로 볼 수 있는데 저희의 기본적인 기조는 그렇습니다. 일단 우리 내부 직원들 B2 인플로이를 사용할 수 있는 과제들로 충분히 일단 검증을 하고 그걸 이용해서 제너럴한 버전을 만들어서 B2C, 고객단들에게 제공할 수 있는 고객 서비스를 만들고 더 나아가서는 사실은 B2B, 다양한 영역들에 대해서 여러 가지 저희가 가지고 있는 컴포넌트를 가지고 빌드업해서 커스터마이징해서 다양하게 B2B 영역으로 확장하고 그런 영역들을 저희가 기조로 간다는 것들은 기조에 변함이 없는 요소인 것 같습니다.
No, thank you, Joe. And it's very good to hear impact, because I think it sounds so obvious, but we know that many organizations forget impact is important. So I had one client who built 90 dashboards. Very sophisticated, but what's the impact? But Chris, good to hear your perspective.
Yeah. I'm Chris Kim from Nokia. As Nokia is a telco vendor, so I guess what I'm going to share today from the vendor perspective. For telco priorities, I believe that of course all the things are important for us, but among the priorities, I think that the phased approach is needed to balance the priorities. But considering the current status, like Mr. Joe mentioned, I believe that first should be with the short term would be with the enterprise AI, but the midterm with the B2E and the consumer AI should be followed. But according to the Omdia report in 2023, last year, but what telco consider as a priority from the customer service, and of course with the network operation and the customer care point of view. So for example, chatbot and those of the anomaly detection and virtual assistant service and call center and those things. So in a vendor perspective of view, we have to using our telco domain expertise, we have to help our customers to accelerate this using of Gen AI, but complement the Gen AI priorities. So let me share about the example from the field that the Nokia has been contributed. Recently, there is a China Mobile Innovation Support with our Nokia AI analytics solution called AVA. We contributed to improve the O&M efficiency for the 190 million subscribers in the 3 China provinces. We used the data palette and also for the intelligent data service functions to assist the developers to use the natural languages for their data development and the data exploration and intelligent data report services. So using it, China Telecom could save to improve their intelligent efficiency and improve the cost OPEX savings with the kind of 2.7 million euros per year, but annually. Yeah.
Thanks, Sig. And Thomas, good to get your perspective from an Intel perspective.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I would say, as Jay said, I think I would start in-house. That's first thing, learn it in-house, in a telco environment, the networking, the knowledge, the engineering documents you have, scale up your people, because end of the day, it's about people, organizations. I mean, that's the key priority. And then start, with customer engagements, where you have a call center we shared. I mean, that's nothing really new, but I think that's the learning curve before you go to B2C, B2B business, because I think there is an opportunity for telco operators, but I think it's important to get the foundation first right. And also, as said, what is really possible to do that? Again, it's normally not a technology issue, it's more a people organization. How can I scale that? And then the other part is, I think, critical is don't build everything by yourself. Use it as a, sharing and learning from each other, I think is a critical component. Otherwise, we will miss the boat in the industry.
Yeah, no, I agree. Thomas, maybe also good to get your perspective. So roughly, I think telco leaders currently spending about 0.5% to 1 percentage point of revenues on AI. So feels substantial, but is it enough? And I think Doug will talk more about infrastructure in a second.
Yeah, I think from an Intel point of view and from a personal point of view, I think the investment is in the wrong side. It's on hardware only, and there's GPU, there's CPUs in the world, of course, which needs an infrastructure. But I think it's also not everybody need to build their own GPU farm, and it's also economical, not sustainable end of the day. And Jay said it, from an AWS point of view, there's a lot of where we can leverage a cloud provider for a certain part. Of course, there's some security, safety, data part we need to look into it. But again, I think also there it needs to be more on the collaboration part on it. And the investment needs to be really on the people side. The asset are the people, and that I think we don't do enough on that side.
Good. That maybe is a nice handover to Doc, because I think you're focusing very much on the infrastructure side, And so where do you see priorities for telco's organization more broadly?
Thanks, Nikolai. Just a brief introduction. Doug Makishima here from EcoBlocks, and everyone says they're powering the AI revolution, right? We are quite literally powering it in terms of power in and workload cycles out. So we're on the infrastructure side. We build world's leading modular data centers. So imagine a 20-foot, 40-foot container, all of the racks and the servers and the GPUs from companies like Intel and a couple others. This is what we deliver to the marketplace, but we also deliver the software elements, the HPC as a service or virtualization stack. So we enable telco or smaller enterprises to have their own GPU resources, to have their own HPC. Likewise, we also enable some of the new CSPs and the original hyperscalers with massive scale GPU farms. So that's what EcoBlocks does. So in terms of prioritization, I like to go back to the business school basics. It's all about ROI and impact. And if you're a telco, you're now spending maybe 1% on AI, which absolutely is not enough, given how much these GPUs cost from companies like Intel and NVIDIA and AMD. But obviously, we've seen through this whole M360 conference how important AI is and how transformative it is from the OpEx, CapEx, networking realm all the way up to customer service, and then beyond that, AI as a service to customers. So I would just say that start with, okay, this is your budget. What's the best impact you can get from that AI spend? And clearly things like productivity or enhancing network operations. We saw a lot of that in the keynote from Huawei yesterday. And then so kind of inside out, right? So starting with the network, starting with the employee productivity, customer service, the standard chatbots and interface to the customers, then maybe marketing and sales, and then consider offering GPU as a service or even AI as a service.
No, thanks, Doug. Now let's talk a little bit of impact and building on where I think Joe started. I think what is really needed to scale and embed AI in the organization? Where are the challenges? I think what we often see is there's a strong focus on use cases, but you really have to embed it in the organization. So what should companies really do to create impact? And I won't start with Joe, maybe I start with Thomas, if that's okay?
Sure. Again, I think the use cases is maybe a good starting point, I personally believe, because, as said before, is about outcome. I mean, we are in a very CapEx sensitive environment, specific in the telco world and also operational wise. So I think it's good to start with a use case and define what you can achieve. Because if you don't put that in that kind of box, you do a lot of, I call it kids research, and the outcome is not what you're expecting. So I think it's critical to put some finance number in it. The part what I would do is, don't make the big projects. I think that's also nothing new. Keep it very small. If it's successful, make sure that you can scale. And that's, again, I think the other part is, if you build everything in-house, the challenge will be you cannot scale out. And even if it be successful, you fail on that side. And this maybe is there was some research from Gartner Group, I think 95% of AI project failing today. So again, I think it's really important to start small and then be ready for a scale out.
Yeah, no, I think this is good points. And if we come back to, I think, the vendor interface and how you partner, because it's important. But also, I think we all know 80%, 90% of transformation fail, and nothing has changed in the AI era. And we're still embarking on the same. So we have to be much better in learning how to transformation. But maybe, Joe, good to hear your perspective. You're obviously driving a massive AI transformation. Where do you see the challenges, and to embed it in the organization, how are you addressing it?
전적으로 토마스 생각에 동의를 하고 있는 게, 저도 토이 프로젝트를 좀 많이 실행을 해봐야 된다라고 생각을 하고 있습니다. 특히 GenAI가 되면서 저희 특히 개발 조직과 또 어떤 사업을 비즈니스를 하는 조직 간의 관계에 있어서 얼마나 빠르게 실행을 할 수 있고 얼마나 다양하게 시도를 할 수 있고 이걸 가지고 고객들에게 어떻게 지속적으로 검증을 할 수 있느냐, 우리가 만든 기술과 서비스가 어떤 임팩트가 있느냐를 지속적으로 보는 게 굉장히 중요하다고 생각을 합니다. 그런 의미에서 제가 토마스 생각을 지금 와서 현장에서 들었는데 안 믿으시겠지만 전적으로 동의하는 게, 저희도 많은 토이 프로젝트를 통하고 이게 단순하게 시작은 기술 기반의 POC로 시작을 하지만 실질적으로 이게 POC가 어떤 몇 번의 성능 가능성을 거쳐서 실제 고객 데이터를 가지고 파일럿을 한번 테스트해 볼 수 있고, 이게 준 리얼타임으로 우리가 어떤 상용 서비스에 들어갈 수 있는 아주 좋은 서비스가 될 수 있는 거라고 저도 전적으로 생각을 하고 있기 때문에, 지속적으로 저는 다시 한번 정리를 하자면 빠른 혁신이 필요하고 다양한 혁신이 필요하고, 이를 통해 고객의 데이터를 가지고 피드백을 가지고 다양한 지속적인 검증, 기술과 서비스의 검증이 좀 필요한 것 같다. 그게 우리가 서로 신뢰하고 더 서비스를 개선해 나갈 수 있는 포지션이 될 것 같다라고 굳게 믿고 있습니다.
Maybe Joe, one follow-up question. And where are you seeing the biggest challenges right now in transforming an organization like LGU+? It's not a small organization.
가장 큰 챌린저는 가장 큰 어려운 점은 기존의 조직 그 성공 방정식에 답습해 있다. 기존에 있던 사업 비즈니스에 있던 사람들이 기존의 AI라는 새로운 기술의 어떤 변화에 적응하지 못하고 기존에 내가 성공했던 방향으로 새로 나아가려고 하는 사실 AX, DX, 디지털 트랜스포메이션이라는 게 굉장히 많은 챌린지를 겪어야 되는 건데 그런 변화의 어떤 크리티컬니스를 인정하지 못하고 기존에 있는 내가 가졌던 성공의 방식으로 해결하고자 하는 그런 모습들이 가장 크다고 보고 그런 의미에서 기술은 작은 것부터 보여줘야 된다고 생각을 합니다. 처음부터 이렇게 하면 많은 부분들을 개선할 수 있다고 보여주는 것보다는 작은 것부터 그 비즈니스를 하시는 분들로 하여금 임팩트를 하나씩 만들어드리고 그걸 가지고 궁극적으로는 여기까지 드라이브 할 수 있다라고 크게 좀 믿어가는 과정들을 좀 겪어야 된다고 생각을 하고 있습니다.
Yeah, no, and I would also argue it's important that you get the operating model right, so that I think you expand it. Now, pivoting slightly from the impact, but also to risk management, it's clear that we have seen great AI implementations, but we also seen some big failures. No, I think Klarna, BPO, who started rolling it out, and they had to. GenAI had to call it back because the employees were creating a backlash because I think 70% of the employees were supposed to be laid off. So usual stuff, of course, some models like Zillow, which created a $350 million write-off because the model just, it's a real estate property platform, and just continued buying when the market was down. No, at predetermined prices. So of course we're having issues with that. But how do you manage risk? Maybe Doc, we start with you. What's the best way how to address risk?
So again, what type of risk are we focusing on here? The organizational risk, failure risk, or risk of
we talked a bit about
breach?
failure risk. That's probably associated with what Julia said. Maybe more sort of the inherent risk that you get the model wrong, or that you're not that you do something which is not ethical or irresponsible.
I think, again, so at EcoBlocks, we're representing the infrastructure side. So I would say how we can help telcos mitigate risk is more on the operational side in terms of data sovereignty and AI sovereignty. So one of the disadvantages of partnering too much or exposing your data and your AI workload externally is that you have potential for leakage, for breach, for data privacy violation. So we've seen a lot of companies work through this by having some capability in-house, on-prem, or a private cloud, and then have a hybrid cloud. And this is becoming very common, even with traditional compute and traditional storage, right? And digital transformation. We're seeing a lot of leaks happening and people very initially embracing cloud model, but now starting to pull back, and both on the financial return on investment model, but also because of privacy. So I would just I would leave that as my comments, and the rest of the panelists for the
thanks.
implementation risk. Yeah.
Chris, your perspective?
Yeah, actually, managing risk is, I believe that it requires the multi-phased approach, like adoption, because that addresses about the, like you mentioned, the ethical, the operational and legal and reputational concern also, regarded. I need to talk about the general point of view from the telco side, because according to the recent paper released from the ABI research titled as The Role of Gen AI in Telco, it mentioned and it addresses about the 3 risks and challenges from the telco AI. The first one is the contextual trading, because the Gen AI needs to be trained within correct context, to avoid the misinterpretation. And the second one is about actually it has to be in the security point of view, the critical infrastructure, because the telecom network is the critical infrastructure. So the critical infrastructure point of view, it has to be protected, and there is a concern in the security level is very important for the critical network telecom itself. So there are concerns of the Gen AI use to direct impact to the network itself. such as the misconfiguration or the misuse of things. Of course, the last one is about the data privacy things, because telecom network handles the best amount of the sensitive subscriber data. So the use of GenAI presents the risk to the data protection. So these is the key things that we can consider to use of the GenAI in the telco. So as a telecom vendor, Nokia is also trying to focus on for data privacy and the security as well. So ensuring data is the key to maintain the customer's trust, and also to avoid the regulatory penalties is quite important. So even though we are trying to develop the feature and the product for the security level itself, but they also need to be careful to managing these type of the risks. So if possible, I'd like to talk about our, the case of data privacy product itself. There is a product called the CyberDome Security for Nokia side. We use and leverages and extends the Microsoft Copilot product for our 5G security operation model. But it doesn't mean that we are using it by itself as it is, because in order to know the 5G security operations, it has to know what the 5G security operation it is. So the corpus for the 5G security LLM will include the 3GPP specification for the 5G architecture of LAN, core, transport, and of course the topology relationship and the security incident related to 5G deployment. Of course, and also about the best practices and recommendation for the security instance, regarding from Nokia and as well as the third parties, or the standard body like 3GPP or NIST, and also the security things, the threat model, security threat model like the MITRE, the MITRE FIGHT, or the Bell Spatter things. With this level of training, this solution, this cybersecurity dome, understands not just about the IT queries from the Microsoft-based model, but also know and understands about what's the context of the 5G security level itself. So now the security operations center analyst can ask something like that, to display all the accident against the NRF, or display the related accident, which is impacting to the UDM, and if the lateral movement is being used and evaluated, something like that, or the user X who tries to delete the resources of namespace of AMF can also be impacting to the other namespaces as well. So such questions can be queried and followed. So that's the differences.
No, thanks, Chris. Let's talk a little bit about the collaboration between telcos and vendors. Obviously, we have a nice mix here. But we also heard earlier in some of the presentation and some of the sessions that I think particularly some of the vendors said, look, we're open, we want to collaborate more, we want to build an ecosystem of partners. Now, but how do you collaborate? And how do you build the right ecosystem of partners? It sounds so obvious, but I know it's not. No? Doc, you want to start?
Sure. I think, again, our role in the whole ecosystem is at the infrastructure level, both physical hardware, but also the virtualization stack. So, we can help telcos provide their own, support their own workload in their own data centers with HPC racks or servers, or even our MDCs, and we can also scale it up to the CSP level and provide the virtualization stack to allow them to do their workload, perform their workload, AI workload, either in a private cloud, totally controlled, or a public cloud. So I think in that sense, partnering with vendors such as EcoBlocks makes sense in terms of the infrastructure capability, building that out. But also, since we operate a CSP or cloud model, it enables this more of a private cloud type approach.
I want to push it, but it makes obviously sense to partner with someone like you because you have the right capabilities. But what makes a collaboration effective?
Well, strategy, motivation, and impact, right? So very generic. But so our company is headquartered in Dubai. I'm based in Silicon Valley. But we have a global footprint. So what we've recognized that operators around the world Some are on this journey from a telco to a techco, right? Going through digital transformation, offering services again. So becoming service providers instead of a utility pipe. But it varies greatly depending on size of operator and region. So for example, in KSA, in Saudi, STC is very active, and they have a solutions group. They own their own data center called Center 3. They have RFPs for smart stadiums, smart cities, so it's quite comprehensive. So there, it really makes sense for them to have their own compute capability for on-site in a smart stadium or in their data center operations. They already have smart city, other types of solutions that they're offering. So there, it makes absolute sense to partner with us, with hyperscalers, with other solutions vendors. So again, I would say that if the telco has this grand vision and the capability and is already marching down this path to on the journey from a telco to a techco, it makes sense.
Good. Thomas, your view?
Yeah, I think collaboration, again, it depends really a little bit on the telco, to be honest with you. Some telcos have the capability, and I think that's a challenge we have from a knowledge. They are too much in just operate their network, which is a critical part, of course, but they lost a little bit the ability to do some kind of, PUCs, bringing some knowledge from their side in. So they are too light, I would call it, or too optimized in some areas. So that's one thing which, as an industry, we need to look into. How can we collaborate better together? The other part, I think, is we have too many standard groups, which is just in sync. When you see, we have now, I don't know how many AI standard groups we have across all the places, which makes it more challenging, I think, to collaborate, because it's always good to have a kind of a North Star when you have collaboration. Let's say we do an open API discussion with GSM together and an operator and 2 or 3 partners. It's more foundational than you do it very tactical, and then everybody does it in different ways. So I think as an industry, we need really to simplify that part around that. And then the last pillar, I think, is, we as an industry, we need to stop to go through this 5,000 pages of RFQs all the time. So I think collaboration should really start early, and we need to build that trust. Again, depends a bit on the operators. Some is getting better, some is a little bit more challenging. But I think as an industry, we really need to have this collaboration, because only then we can learn from each other. And of course, in the end, commercial is a critical part, but it cannot be the only decision end of the day after 6 months joint work together. So I think this collaboration is a critical part, and we need to learn a bit to do a different approach than what we had in the history.
No, thanks so much. I think 2 points really resonate with me. One is, how do you address the increasing fragmentation of technologies and vendor landscape? And I think the second, how do you really instill an approach of collaborative optimization between the telco and the vendors, and not just here's my RFQ and deliver, because you won't get anything out of it. Chris, your perspective?
Yeah, I can say that telcos must to collaborate with the trusted vendors and the solution providers, and of course since these synergies can give the AI expertise, and also for the accelerate innovation and enable the faster deployment, because even for in case for the deployment, there is no big impact for compared to the existing deployment that we did before. But the key challenge, the key differentiation lies in, I think, that there is a continuous data work, and the governance after deployment will be required. So that's the reason why that considering all the scalability also required for the AI related things, I think that the telco should work with the trusted solution provider to know the both network and the telco AI, like Nokia.
No, I think one point I want to highlight, which links, I think, to what Doug said. You have to have sort of a governance in place between the telco and the vendors, which drives towards impact. I think I forgot now how you explained it. I think you had 3 words for that, but I think that's ultimately the governance behind it.
I think you mentioned the 2 that resonated with you. The one that resonated with me was the first one, and I was trying to be kind with my description of the operators. Thomas was a little more direct, maybe, dare I say, brutal. But I mean, how do we solve that problem? I don't know. How do we bring? There are some telcos that are doing what LG U Plus is doing as a shining example, and then there are others that are just I'm very operationally efficient, and I'm a pipe, and I'm a very good pipe, and I'm a data pipe. That's it. So I think there's opportunities for them to recognize operational efficiency internally and B2E, customer service, certainly, but then maybe expand their horizons and become a service provider again. I don't have the answer to that one,
Yeah,
but it's one I'd like to have an answer to, so I can
take a
offer more
controversial
services.
view here, and it might get me into trouble, but I think for some telcos it's okay to beat us a utility. Doesn't mean you shouldn't use AI, but I think it's
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
okay.
For internal purposes.
But Joe, your view, obviously you're driving a big transformation, you're working with a lot of vendors and partners. What are the success formulas here?
크게 저희는 두 가지 방식으로 벤치마킹을 많이 하는 것 같습니다. 아까 말씀하신 대로 각자 사실 텔레커뮤니케이션 같은 경우는 도메스틱 고객을 위한 서비스를 제공한다고 하지만 다른 텔레커뮤니케이션에서 어떤 일을 하고 있는지를 많이 보고 있습니다. 왜냐하면 그들이 통해서 어떻게 그 고객들을 위해서 서비스를 제공했고 어떤 우리와 유사한 레슨즈 앤 런이 있었는지를 보고 많이 배우려고 노력들을 하고 있습니다. 그런 관점의 벤치마킹이 하나 있고 두 번째는 그와 같은 이제 벤치마킹의 인사이트를 얻어서 우리 내부에 갖고 있는 기술력을 어떻게 빌드업할 수 있는지를 많이 보고 있는데 저희는 크게 세 가지를 보고 있습니다. 데이터를 어떻게 많이 확보하고 가공할 수 있을 것인지. 첫 번째 데이터에 대한 얘기를 드리면 국내외를 말할 것도 없이 특히 생성형 AI가 되면서 데이터를 레이블링하거나 리파인먼트하는 기술을 갖고 있는 회사들과 많은 노력을 좀 기울이고 있습니다. 두 번째는 AI 기술 혹은 사람이라고 얘기를 하는데 뭐 유사한 AI 오늘 소개드렸던 여러 기술들을 포함해서 많이 저희가 협업할 수 있는 그런 것들이 있고요. 마지막은 이제 벤더사 얘기를 드릴 수 있을 것 같은데 GPU라든지 아니면 뭐 클라우드 같은 이런 MSP, CSP 활용을 할 수 있는 부분들에 대한 내용들을 많이 받고 저희가 빠르게 도움을 받아서 고객분들에게 개선할 수 있는 서비스를 만들 수 있는 그 목적 하나로 협업할 수 있는 포인트를 찾고 있는 것 같습니다.
No, thank you, Joe. And we're out of time, so I will wrap it up. I think maybe from my perspective, I heard three things which really stood out and at least resonate with my own experience is be very focused, start small, then scale, don't overdo it. Number two is really be focused on what drives economic impact. Not just because it's good, and can also be on the employee side, whatever, but it's an ultimate economic impact. And number three, what we just talked about here at the end is really find a better way how to work with between vendors and different technologies and drive towards impact. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Great. All right, so this is end of session 2. And we'll have a coffee break now until 3:45. And we'll begin the session 3 on AI growth strategies, technologies, and business models. And so please be back in the room on time. And just one more thing. Session 2 moderator was Nikolai Derbystein. Session 3, Nikolai will be one of the speakers, okay? So let's look. I look forward to hearing his presentation. Thank you.